Because of the martial law, this is at the end of the bankruptcy. Canada came out of bankruptcy April 12, 2017. People believe the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms still has force and effect, and that if we go to court making claims against our government for abusing the citizens, we believe that the Charter still has force and effect. But because of the bankruptcy, and this is the keystone to the whole puzzle, that the Constitution, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, all of our rights, that when the birth certificate system expired on that day, on April 12, 2017, all of those agreements, those laws expired. And actually, there was no Canada for 90 days from April 12th, 2017 to July 11th, 2017. During that time, 2 statutes that were passed. One was modifying the Human Rights Code regarding gender identity, where they made it a crime to discriminate against people with a different gender identity. And from the Rosevity controversy, we had the character Jordan Peterson distract everybody for months and months and months while this 90 days elapsed. It's the smokescreen. The other act that they passed was called the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act. And so people today are trying to reference this statute, believing it has some force and effect. But in reality, they passed this act during the time that Canada did not exist. They pretended that Canada was still, the federal government was still in operation, but it had ceased to exist. And so with it, the Crown is now operating as a foreign party. But when it came out of the bankruptcy on April 15th, 2017, we had a group out of Alberta file a new constitution. So the whole key here, again, is the bankruptcy. And people need to realize is when we came out of the bankruptcy and there's no laws, essentially we have martial law. And that's why we've been seeing so many state of emergency where there is not really a state of emergency. They had a nice kind of excuse to have a coronavirus pandemic around the world. But the fact is there is no laws. And if we're to realize this, they are in martial law. They have to realize that if you don't claim who you are, especially if your birth certificate is no longer valid, and they're trying to contract you into this new medical services agreement regarding a QR code and entrance into a new dystopian technocratic system that really is hooked up to this metaverse probably eventually, and the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. We're looking at the fact that everyone is at a crossroads, and if they don't claim who they're in contract with, then they get swept up eventually. At that time, we won't know. All we'll know is that there will be a collapse of the economy, and they're going to try and push everybody into a scenario where we're fighting amongst each other. So the benefit of knowing where we are in time and space being that if we keep pushing forward in the courts, but we know that the Charter of the Rights and Freedoms and these court cases really have no standing because they've extracted themselves out of having any liability. The drug companies and the government, if you check the government websites, at the bottom disclaimer, it clearly shows you should not be trusting any of the literature on their websites. And if you were to extend and look for the official version, in some scenarios, the official version doesn't even exist. So the benefit, again, of knowing this information, especially the bankruptcy, is that we only have a few avenues, and really, you have to declare under martial law whether you're a combatant or a non-combatant. But if you do not declare your status and where you stand in this scenario, then you could be swept up. I think the virtue here is the self-organizing collective, otherwise known as the SOC. This is a naturally emergent behavior that everybody is participating in. They've tried to close off the channels of communications through Facebook and Instagram. I've been trying to post material to tell people things, and I've been blocked. Telegram right now is a place where I can at least attempt to get this message out, but we need to know that they're going to try and dodge us at every corner. Sure, I can file some paperwork against them and shove it in their face, make them squirm, get them to pay some lawyers to try and fight me back. But really, it's the self-organizing collective they need to come together in a more cohesive sense and to form a new network that others can join to. Because right now, the people that are fearful of the fact that if they don't trust the government, they don't know where to go. So we as a collective need to grow up a bit, and we need to change the terms and conditions. But that requires more of us to cohesively come together and organize in a stronger fashion. But everybody's education levels are different, so this is really a learning process, and myself and other people have to be patient. We have to be patient with each other. So I hope that we get there sooner than later.